Alright you guys, Chris here, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of being inside working on the fish tanks, we're going to be outside with it. And what are we doing outside, may you ask? We're going to be turning this old clawfoot bathtub into a pond. Yeah, that's right, you heard me right. We're going to turn this old bathtub into a fish pond. Okay guys, so before we can fill this up, there's a couple things we gotta do. You see this big hole right here? We gotta patch this somehow. So this used to be the faucet, you know, you turn it on, water comes out, etc, etc. Alright, so to patch this hole, instead of patching it, I actually got a bulkhead. This is an 1.5 inch bulkhead, and it happens to fit in this hole perfectly. So all we're gonna have to do is take the back end off, put this like this, screw the back end on, and silicone around it so it's sealed. Alright? So that's the first thing we gotta do. The second thing we gotta do is, you see this hole down here? We gotta patch this hole somehow. So what I'm thinking about doing is, this is an 1-inch bulkhead, I'm pretty sure, right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an 1-inch PVC with a cap on it, cement the pipe in the cap so no water can get out, and that should hold it. And then we're gonna put some black silicone around this so it's, you know, so no water escapes. All right. So I'm gonna put the camera down for a second, grab some tools, and I'll be right back. So first thing we're gonna focus on is sealing up this bottom hole down here. So like I said earlier, we're gonna use a piece of 1-inch PVC and an end cap, which is right here. So I got my PVC, I got my end cap. Pretty much what we're gonna do is we're gonna cement this cap onto here so it's watertight, so no water can escape. We're gonna chop it down right about here, and then we're gonna cement it onto this bulkhead so no water can escape. All right. So first thing we're gonna do, so I got my PVC cement, I got the primer, and then I got the actual cement right here as well. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to cement the cap onto the PVC. So first thing you do, put the primer on there. Get down your thing. Put the primer around the end like that. All right. Oh yeah, and I forgot, you also want to primer the cap as well. So you don't have to put cement on both sides, but you do have to put the primer. So boom, put a little bit of primer in there on the cap. Let it soak for a second. And then we're going to hit it with the cement. And I recommend using some fresh cement because this is pretty old. Hopefully it still works. Put a lot on there, guys. Don't be scared. Like, lather it up. You want it to hold the water. All right. So I got the primer on there. I got the cement. I'm gonna push the cap on there. Nice and tight. I'm just gonna let that dry for a second. So our cement should be dry about now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna chop this pipe down. We don't want it sticking up, you know, super tall like this. So I'm gonna chop it about right here. That should give us enough space to still put the cement around it and glue it in. So about there, say it's good. What we're using is just some normal PVC cutters. Just crank it, cuts it, pretty self-explanatory. Alright, so we got our end piece, and we're pretty much going to repeat the steps we did last time of cementing the cap on there. And use the primer, lather it up, and then we're going to use the cement, do the same thing. Alright, and then we're just going to push it in the bulkhead. As far as we can. Just like that. And we're just going to let it dry. On to the next. Alright, so we got the PVC in the cap into the bulkhead. It should be dry by now. So what we're going to do is we're going to silicone around the bulkhead. And you normally don't have to do this, but we're going to do it just as a safety precaution, just to make sure no water leaks out. So I got, check this out, I got 100% silicone. So this stuff is safe for aquariums. Alright, so you don't have to worry about it harming your fish or anything like that. So what we're going to do, and when you do this, you want to make sure you have a bunch of napkins by you, because you're going to make a mess, for sure. Alright, so let's see if we can do this nice and clean, which is... Oh, there's no silicone coming out. What the fuck? Oh, there we go. Dude. Alright guys, and don't worry about making too much of a mess down there, because what we're going to do is we're going to go back over it with our finger and actually smooth it out and make it look presentable. Extra silicone off. I know it looks crazy right now, but don't worry about that. You clean it up. Try to get a lot of that silicone off of there. Alright you guys, so we got the bottom hole, bulkhead, whatever you want to call it, plugged off, capped off. And what we're doing right now is we're filling it up a little bit with water to see if it's leaking at all. So we're going to go up under it and see if we see any water at all, and that'll tell us if it's leaking. Oh, let me look. Oh yeah, it looks dry, boy. So you know what that means, it's not leaking. Good. Alright. So I also got the second bulkhead installed right here. Nice and flush. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use this 1.5-inch strainer to go into the bulkhead like this. And what this is gonna do is, say when it rains, instead of the water overflowing over the sides and possibly losing some fish, all the water is gonna drain out from right here. And this strainer is gonna keep all the fish from getting sucked out of the tub. Alright. So what we're going to do next is we're going to fill the tank up to here and see exactly where the water level is at before it starts overflowing. Alright? So I'm going to put the camera down and get that going, and I'll pick it back up once we get close to the top. Alright you guys, so we got the tank filled up. Water's overflowing out the back. Let's see if I can get that. You see the water overflowing out? So yeah, man, we're gonna have to improvise and do something to bring this water level up, because I want it a little bit higher. I honestly want the water level around about right here. So what I'm thinking about doing is using this PVC elbow, taking the strainer off, using a piece of PVC to connect the bulkhead to the elbow, and then I'm going to put the strainer at the end of the elbow. Alright? So I'm going to put the camera down, grab some tools, and we're going to get back to work. Alright guys, so I figured out what I'm going to do. I took the strainer, put it to an elbow, and then I put a little PVC on the end so we could just slide it into the bulkhead, something like this. And this is going to raise our water level up to about right here. So that should be good. Alright, so I'm going to do the same steps I did earlier. Over here. First you're going to hit it with the PVC primer. Go ahead and lube her up. Just like that. Alright, I'll set that down, let it dry for a second. And now we're going to hit it with the cement. Got the cement on there, and we're gonna go ahead and drop it in the bulkhead. Alright, just like that, we're done. I'm gonna cut the camera, and I'm gonna start filling her up. Alright you guys, so I got the overflow installed. See, I had to turn it to the side a little bit because the water level is actually a little bit too high. It was like all the way up to here. I wanted it a little bit lower. But yeah, I got this installed, siliconed around it to make sure no water leaks out, just in case. Alright, so we got the bottom plugged. We got the overflow installed. Alright, now all we gotta do is fill her up. Let's do it. Alright, it's filling up. I'm gonna cut the camera and pick it back up when it's almost filled up, right? Alright you guys, the tub is almost filled up. Got about like 2 or 3 more inches to go. Once it gets filled up, we're just gonna go behind the back and make sure the bulkhead isn't leaking. Almost there. About a ½ an inch left. Alright, that's about good right there. I'm gonna go shut the water off. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Nah, that's it right now. Alright, so the tub is filled up, y'all. Water level is right at where I wanted it. Alright, so let's go behind it, see if it's leaking. And no, I don't see any water coming out, guys, so that's what's up. That means it's not leaking. Perfect. Alright, the next thing we gotta do is we gotta set up the filtration system. What I think I'm gonna use right now is just one of these big sponge filters. This is a big aqua-top filter, sponge filter. I think it's rated for about 80 gallons. So I'm gonna put the camera down, get this set up. I'm gonna go grab an air pump out the house, and I'll be back shortly. Alright, you guys, so I got the tub completely set up. I went ahead and dechlorinated the water and set up all the filtration. And yeah, I'm pretty hyped, so let's go ahead and check this thing out. So here you go, guys. I finally got the tub set up. What I got filtering this thing is a big aqua-top sponge filter. Like I said earlier, it's rated up to 80 gallons. I also got this sponge slash K1 media filter as well. This filter is not going to be on here permanently. I just took it off of other tank to help get the cycle going. I also added a whole bottle of this Fritz Turbo Start to go ahead and boost the cycle. And yeah, man, so I'm pretty anxious. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some fish in here. I got some guppies from one of my other tanks that were breeding. I don't even know how many's in here. We're gonna go ahead and pop them in there, let them flow and acclimate for about 30 minutes. I'm gonna pick up the camera once I release them, alright? The guppies are in, and they're loving it. This big mama right here is pregnant, so hopefully she'll drop in a couple days. But yeah, they came from a 20 gallon, so I know they're probably loving this thing. But yeah, guys, that's a wrap for the tub. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay updated on this thing. And I'm out. Thanks for watching.